Stock. Happy Friday. I am Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and this is 5 Question Friday. Thank you so much for joining me today. Every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, I answer 5 questions from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Expat in Croatia, expatinCroatia.com, email my consulting sessions, Cam's consulting sessions, and people who ask people on the team, which happens quite often. They run into one of us out in the wild and ask us questions, and then they end up here. So thank you so much for being here today. And if you are brand new, oh my gosh, we're so glad you're here. And this is a good group. We've got some long-standing fans here that will welcome you with open arms. So thank you for being here with me today. If you've been paying attention, I have been sick for about the last 10 days, 12 days, 2 weeks, who's to say? So you probably saw my video earlier this week where you saw me look sick in my full ghostly glory. I'm very happy to report that I'm feeling tons better thanks to antibiotics. So I finished those. I would say I'm about 70% better. Yesterday I went out for the first time and the weather was pretty, and I filmed a bunch of new videos for Instagram and went to a meetup last night and had dinner with a buddy, and I think I overdid it a little bit, so I'm a bit tired today. But I'm just glad to be feeling better because that was just not a fun experience. But thank you so much for all of your well wishes. I really appreciate it. So I have not been doing much because I've been sick, but I gotta say, so this is the first full week for 2 of our newest team members, Tamara and Daniela, and oh my gosh, we're all over the moon about it. Could already see how it has, like, things have clicked into place. We really needed their help, and now they're here, and it's fantastic. We're all just so happy to have them on the team. So yay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and dive into the questions now, if that sounds good to you. As a reminder, this is 5 Question Friday, and I'm going to answer 5 questions about Croatia that have been sent in by you. So the first one, this person wanted to remain anonymous. They sent this in on email. They asked, does Croatia have an ombudsman? Which I do not know if I'm pronouncing that right, so if I am not, feel free to correct me. Honestly, I've heard this word before, but I didn't know what it was. So I think before I answer the question, I'm gonna explain what that is. I Googled it, and this is what I found on Wikipedia. An ombudsman, which also is called ombudswoman, ombudsperson, or public advocate. I feel like public advocate is a lot easier to say. This person is an official who is usually appointed by the government or by parliament, often with a significant degree of independence, I feel like that's key to this, to investigate complaints and attempts to resolve them, usually through recommendations, binding or not, or mediation. Okay? So, now, does Croatia have an ombudsman? Yes. The ombudsman is a commissioner of the Croatian parliament responsible for the promotion and protection of human rights and freedoms enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of Croatia, the laws and the international human rights instruments ratified by the Republic of Croatia. And actually, there is an ombudsman.hr if you would like to find out more information about this person's office. And also we have information on where you can submit your complaints, either by post or email, and we also have a phone number. So if you would like that information, send us a DM and we'll be more than happy to send that over to you. And I believe Cam did the research on this, so thank you so much, Cam, for that. We have a lot of really interesting questions today. Really big variety, lots of things we haven't talked about before. I'm really excited about it. Okay, so this next one comes from Jane. She submitted a question on our 5 Question Friday forum. I'm British born and will be applying for citizenship by descent very soon. I understand it will take 1 to 2 years. In the meantime, I may decide to move to Croatia in the next few months and apply for residence. Will this complicate matters? So, based on the context of this question, it sounds like she wants to apply in Britain and then potentially move here afterwards. we don't recommend that. We don't recommend that. So where you apply for residence is based on jurisdiction. And I want to say that we talked about jurisdiction either on last week's episode or 2 weeks ago. I can't quite remember which one it was. But it's based on jurisdiction. So jurisdiction based on your residence, so where you live. So you can only apply from within Croatia if you live here. And if you don't live here, that means that you have to apply at the consulate closest to your residence, and each consulate has different districts that they govern. Like, for example, the United States, I think, has like maybe 5 consulates, and you can't just pick any one of them. You have to go to the one that governs your district, okay? Now, that means you should really stay put. So if you applied in the UK and then you moved to Croatia, you're eventually going to have to go back to the UK to go to that consulate. If she's planning on moving to Croatia in the next few months, don't bother applying in the UK, apply in Croatia, because it always takes longer for them to process your application when you apply abroad, because the consulate doesn't like turn around and send your application to Zagreb for processing the same day. They usually do them in batches. So it could be 3 or 6 months or even longer in the case of the LA consulate before they send it to Zagreb for processing. So there would be no benefit. This would complicate matters. And the reverse is also true. If you apply for citizenship from within Croatia and then you leave Croatia, that would even complicate things much greater, on a greater scale. So try not to do that. I understand in some cases things cannot be helped and life takes you places you never thought that they would, but you got to understand that it's not like you can apply in Britain and then finish the process in Croatia. You have to finish the process where you started the process. So that's important to understand. Now, we have a few guides here. Obviously, we have a guide on how to apply for citizenship by descent. I know I've mentioned this a few times before, so if you would like that, send us a DM. We also have a guide. There's a residence program specifically for descendants of Croatians. It's for members of the Croatian people. So if you don't have citizenship yet, you can use that residence program to come to Croatia and get residence, and it's renewable. You can get it year after year until you are approved for citizenship, and then you switch over just being a citizen, in which case you don't need a residence permit anymore. It's an amazing program. It's the easiest program. It has the least amount of requirements, so it's super great. So if you would like information on that program, send us a DM and we'll send that to you as well. And of course, if you're applying for citizenship, we highly recommend using a lawyer. So if you would like one of those, also send us a DM. Or if you don't know if you qualify for citizenship, we can help you with that too. So thank you so much, Jane. I did see that someone dropped a question, so I'm going to scroll up and see what it is. Zia, what can you tell me about Brac? Brac is my favorite island. So Island Brac is a 50-minute ferry from Split, so it's here in Dalmatia. It is the tallest island of all of the islands in Croatia. I think there's like 1,300 islands. So it is the tallest one. And so you can go up to the top. The summit is called Vidova Gora. It's beautiful. Anytime I have anyone who's coming from abroad to Croatia, I always take them to Brac for a day trip, and I take them first up to Vidova Gora. So on a clear day, you definitely can always see Hvar. Like Hvar is right across the channel from there, and then you can also see Vis, you can see Šolta. Supposedly on a clear day, you can see Italy from there. I've not witnessed that. So I cannot speak to that. But I could see how maybe that would be possible. What else about Brac? It's the same size as Malta. Yes. But what's interesting is that Brac has a population of 16,000 people, whereas Malta has a population of like 500,000, I think is what I read. So to give you an idea, Brac is really lovely. It's a very large island. There's a lot of beautiful villages and little coves, and it has since it is quite large, you have this beautiful inland part as well as the coast around the edges. Usually when you take the ferry from Split, you go to Supetar. And then from there, if you have a car, you can drive around the island, or there are buses that kind of go to different villages around. Bol is the most famous. That is where Zlatni Rat is. Zlatni Rat is the most famous beach in Croatia. Zlatni Rat means golden horn. So it's actually looks like a horn going out into the sea, and it actually changes position based on the current, and you can see it from up on Vida Vagora. There are lots of great restaurants there. If you've ever done a consulting session with us, all of our consulting session clients get our free restaurant list that was compiled by me, and recently we updated it with recommendations from our entire team from across Croatia. So all my favorite restaurants on Brac are in that guide. There is one in particular that I will share with you called Ranch. It's in Bol, and it's fantastic. It's really excellent. I cannot say enough good things about it. I've been going there for many, many years. Brac, I highly recommend it as an island to visit. So that's what I would say about Brac. So thank you so much for that question. Okay, I'm going to scroll back down now. All right. So next one, this comes from Patrice. She asked this question on a consulting session. Can you work in Croatia if you are over the age of 65? Oh, this was a great question. And we did not know the answer to it because there have been little hints that maybe that's possible. Maybe they would not allow you to work after 65. I believe Cam did this research. So the answer is actually yes. So I'm going to read to you what she found. The Zakon o Radu, which means the law on work, outlines all of Croatia's labor laws. While there are a lot of information outlining rules around minors, there's not a lot of concrete information about employing someone older than 65. But there are a lot of rules pertaining to the protection of older workers so that they're not exploited. Article 15 of this law outlines the reasons for termination of a contract, and one of those reasons is when an employee turns 65 or has 15 years of pensionable service. However, it goes on to state unless the employer and the worker agree otherwise. Our interpretation is that you can work past 65, and then that's not a problem. I believe we also got a question on whether or not you could own a company past 65, and most definitely you can also do that. So I have a couple of guides that pertain to this topic. One, we have a great guide on how to find a job in Croatia, and we also have a guide on workers' rights. So if you would like either of those, send us a DM, and I'd be more than happy to send it over to you. Okay, our next question. This is another anonymous. It came in on email. In the US, we have outdoor security cameras at our home. I almost never see these in Croatia because Croatia's super safe. I would like to install a few at my home in Croatia to keep an eye on it when I'm not there. Are there any regulations for outdoor security cameras, like permits required, signage required, placement restrictions? Great question. Okay, so this is what we found out. Rules around this are outlined by the AZOP, which is the Croatian Personal Data Protection Agency. I did not know that was a thing that existed. The short answer is yes, but for recording on personal property, there are some rules and stipulations. I've got some bullets that I'm going to go over with you here today. Lots of big research questions today. So, it can be for the purpose of protection of persons or property unless the interests of what you're trying to record are contrary to what you're allowed to record. The surveillance can cover your premises, the outer surface of the building, as well as internal spaces, but not public spaces. So that's important to note. For example, I'm on the ground floor of my building. Now, there is an area, there's a terrace on one side and there's a garden on another side that is technically not my property. It is public space that is owned by the building. Now, it's implied that it's my space, but I don't own it. It's not part of my lot. It's not in the katastar. So if I wanted to put up a security camera there, even though it's implied that it's my space, it's not legally my space. It is considered to be a public space. So that's important to know. All right, let me go down to the bullets. All right, you must designate that the building or parts of the building are under surveillance, and it must be visible at the latest when someone is entering the parameter of the recording. The sign must indicate the area is being recorded, info on who is the controller, as well as contact info for the person who is recorded to exercise their rights. Only authorized party can access data and protect it from someone unauthorized from obtaining or seeing it. You cannot use the recording for other purposes. A system of recording time and place of access must be established, and recordings may not be kept for more than 6 months. Interesting. So it really sounds like there's a great deal of privacy protection in these rules, and it would not surprise me at all if these were impacted by GDPR. Which, if you are in Split next Thursday, and you own a business that has a website that has anyone from the EU going to it, you need to be GDPR compliant. So we're having the Foreign Business Owners Association next Thursday is hosting a meeting, and we're having a GDPR specialist come in and make a presentation. So if you're interested, that's actually our last free meetup of the Foreign Business Owners Association before our membership kicks in. So if you would like to come and see that presentation, it is next Thursday at Smart Space. If you don't know what I'm saying to you, send us a DM and we'll send you all that information. I'm also going to post about it on stories as well. Or if you just like to come and hang out and meet some cool people, then come join us. It's a really good time. You don't have to be a foreign business owner to come. I want to make sure that that's clear. We have a lot of people who are foreign business owners like myself, but then we also have people who are aspiring business owners or people who just really like being around professionals. We don't check you at the door like, where's your foreign business? Okay. So there is a website pertaining to all these rules. If you would like that, we can send that to you with regards to the surveillance. Okay. Are we on our last question already? Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are, guys. Where is it standing in Split? I don't know what you're asking. Can you give me some more detail, context to your question? Okay. So this question is from Chris. This came in on the 5 Question Friday forum. We've done a few of his questions before in the past. He's a frequent flyer here. Can I transfer an ownership of a property from my name to my minor children who are 17 and 15? I'm a Croatian citizen and my children have Croatian citizenship. Yes, of course. I spoke to our head lawyer today. He's a property lawyer. They will be listed on the land registry as minors, but there is no reason that you cannot transfer the property into their name while they are still minors and you are still alive. That's totally fine. I want to say that you, as an individual, cannot go to the land registry and change those property records. You need to have a lawyer or a public notary can do it. Public notaries usually do it when they're dealing with inheritance. So you would need a lawyer in this situation to be able to make those changes. So if you would like a lawyer, send us a DM. I'm more than happy to connect you with one that's local to you. Now, the other post, or the other thing I want to promote today is we do have, I know he's not asking about inheritance per se, but it's adjacent. So I want to make sure that I bring this up. So we have this nifty little series called How to Die in Croatia. And we've done 4 different posts as part of this series to kind of go over the different things that you should consider when preparing for death in Croatia. And I know that probably sounds super morbid to some people, but what you have to understand is like, most of the people we talk to are like, I'm going to live in Croatia for the rest of my life. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to live in Croatia the rest of your life, you're going to die in Croatia. I'm going to die in Croatia. That's my plan. So if you were living in your native country, my guess is that you would also be preparing for that by making a will and, deciding if you want to be on life support and figuring out who you want your crap to go to and all that kind of stuff. So why would it be any different here in Croatia? In fact, I would encourage people to do it even earlier than they would in their native country, because maybe you're on your own here. I know I'm on my own here. And the rules are different. So it's important to educate yourself on all those things, because it could be super messy if you pass and nobody knows what to do with you. Because if you are a foreigner here and you haven't made your arrangements and you don't have any next of kin here, anything you have is probably going to go to the state, and including you. So it's important to do that kind of preparation, is my point. So part 4 of How to Die in Croatia is all about last wills, and it talks about preparing a Croatian will, but it also talks about getting your foreign will recognized if you have one of those. It's quite a complex issue. So we outline it as best we can. We worked with a lawyer on that post. So if you would like that, send us a DM and we'll be more than happy to send that over to you. So those are all of our questions for this week, guys. I hope you really enjoyed them. If you would like to see your question answered here, send us a DM, make a comment once we do the repost of this, and you might see it here on a future episode. So as far as what's coming up next, I will be here next Friday. I am technically starting my vacation now, which is really exciting, but I can't possibly leave you. So I will be here next Friday. But aside from that, hopefully all I'll be doing is drinking coffee and working in my garden and, I don't know, getting my house in order. Just doing all the things I haven't been able to do for the last 6 months when I've been traveling all over Croatia. Oh, Eve! Hey, girl! So that's it. Thank you so much for being here again. It's such an honor to be able to be here and talk about Croatia and geek with you about it. I really, really love it. So that's it. Vidimo se. I hope you have a great weekend. Ciao!